It's extra large, so I use it like a blanket. I use it like a blanket.
Yeah.
On my front porch.
Right.
Miss
My,
Infinite.
oh, thank you. Well, maybe Sunday.
Well,
Oh, yeah, you know, I have a garden help, who's only available once in a while,
yeah.
and he was available,
Yeah.
so I needed to be there.
Good.
I want to tell you that all my beginning fig trees are leafing out now.
Mine too.
Okay, good.
I moved it into the kitchen,
Yeah,
out of a dark, out of a
Yes.
dark room. Yeah.
yes, that's what I did.
Yeah.
The
I've got
only
one
ones-
little leaf coming out.
Yeah, the only one that's not, the ones that are not, are the ones I put in the garage, they're the more mature plants,
Yeah.
and they were in a darker area and a colder area, so
Okay.
now they're in the sunroom, and they should hopefully start
Good.
coming out.
I was so happy I didn't kill
You
it.
know, I always worry about them if they're gonna survive the winter, no
Yeah.
matter where I put them, you know.
Right.
Just me.
Oh, it's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, it'll always remind me of you.
Oh, thank you. What was, today is Tuesday, what are they cooking today?
I'll just leave a message on your desk, no big deal.
What's the matter with me? What's the matter with me?
Nothing's the matter with you.
All right.
Absolutely nothing, you're perfect. Are we on live stream?
Yes,
I put that on the record?
I'm perfect.
You're perfect.
Oh, no. Oh, great.
I'll get my coat and I'll be back.
Karen, you look well.
Thank you. I feel good. Just came from the dentist. He tells me he thinks I might have sleep apnea.
Oh,
From your teeth, you can tell that?
Well, he asked me to relax my tongue. And when I relaxed my tongue, he then told me that he couldn't see my vocal cords and that he went to a conference. And he said that's one of the indicators of
really?
possible sleep apnea. So,
I had it, and then I had the CPAP machine for about 5 years,
yeah,
and then it stopped.
you grew out of it?
I don't know. I don't snore. I don't have sleep apnea.
Yeah.
How do you know you don't snore?
So,
Well, that's a good question. It's valid.
How do you
I know.
relax your tongue, actually?
I don't know.
Did you have your mouth open when you relaxed your tongue?
Yeah, he wanted to, my mouth open, and I didn't know if I had enough chance to relax my tongue. But he also told me, I should use a floss and, a water pick, and he said, do you have a water pick? I said, yes, I have one.
you use it?
No.
No, I don't either. I've got a beauty.
And now he tells me I should talk to my primary care doctor about it. I might wear, I'm too old for this stuff.
Well, you go
I
to
want to do this stuff.
well, you go to the hospital and have a. I did. I went to Northern Dutchess
Yeah.
to their sleep
Yeah.
study place.
Yeah, slept overnight.
Yeah,
You
twice.
sleep overnight?
You sleep overnight
Yeah.
twice.
Oh.
You sleep overnight with nothing. You get tested, and then you sleep the next night with a
Did
CPAP, and they test the two.
Yeah.
But did they put the leaves on you somewhere?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Larry says I snore when I'm on my back,
Yeah.
but doesn't everybody snore when you're on their back?
I don't want to talk about this
I
anymore.
don't know if I snore. I haven't gotten.
We're
any
live.
complaints.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Well, I'm gonna get.
I haven't gotten any complaints. I live with cats, so.
Oh.
Nice sweater, actually. That suits you very well, and very few people can wear horizontal, but you can.
Since I had some chat.
That's what it is. You can't help it. It's not your fault. Blame your parents.
I'm gonna show you a picture of them.
Yeah, I'd like to see a picture of you folks. Well, let me ask you, do you wake up and, this is Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Bible study. We got about 20 people watching. Do you wake up in the morning and you're tired?
Well, he asked me that, the first thing I said.
Because I was
Yes.
beat, just beat
Yes.
when I woke up.
I said, "Tired."
Well, but that might be why.
Years ago, I complained to my primary care physician, I said, I'm tired all the time. He sort of just brushed it off. He said, well, I like sit on ball. And finally I said, one time I visited him, I said, could you check me for B12, please?
Hey, how are you? My name is Steve.
And as soon as I
No,
saw it.
I don't have my name on any.
You did.
Yes.
Well,
Uh,
they call it a
Right
practice
behind
for a
you.
reason.
I know.
Hi,
Good morning.
Judy. Hi.
Pastor.
Good morning.
Is it too warm in here?
Warm.
No.
I
It's
wouldn't
only
go
too
that
warm in
far.
here in July and August.
But I'm prepared. I see Karen is too. and-
As soon as it warms up, then we don't do it.
Are you sure?
How Christian of you.
Have you decided?
This is a form of penance.
Never again.
Well, you know, I'm here to serve you, as you know.
Yeah.
Service what?
You're about to find out.
Is Alice here today?
Alice is here.
Oh, good. She's coming.
Are we still on the book of Job?
Yes.
Great.
That's
During
a
the,
good one.
during the month of Lent, that's very appropriate.
Don't you think? See? This is the kind of genius that's going on here at Lyall.
Yeah, yeah, we're.
We just
need-
sit and
I need to
watch.
say that into the microphone.
Genius. Well, the next, this is, Lent is never a great time for me to plan anything because I want to just quit. But, which is wrong. Yeah, ministers, there's an old saying, I think I made it up. Christ is, good morning.
Oh, morning.
Good morning.
Hi there. Hello.
Christ is risen, but all the ministers are dead.
Good, how are you? Did you have a good trip?
Very nice, yeah, nice to see my, all the more
There's an old saying that says, Christ is risen, but all the ministers are dead. It's the only time we work. I never know quite when to start. Can we just wait a couple, or I guess I could get up and actually look. Because what I want to, how I want to begin today is pretty important. You what?
It's 1 minute to 11.
Yeah.
I was watching.
Did you have parents that said if you're half an hour early, you're on time? I had parents like that.
No, but my family was all on-time people.
Yeah, that's how we did. My mother would say, dinner's at 6, not 6:02.
Uh-huh,
Hmm.
serious?
And it happened at 6. If you weren't there, sorry, you know.
Wow. Ours was 6:30.
She was one of those that everything got ready at the same time kind of person.
That's
I
amazing.
used to be
Right on,
that
right
way.
on, yeah, were you? Yeah.
Oh, my daughter's always said, how do you get everything to come out at the same time?
That's it, yeah. My mother was a genius that way.
I can't do that anymore
Yeah,
for some reason.
yeah.
I'm always behind with something.
Yeah, I know. Well,
I lost that ability. Along with a couple of others.
here we go again.
Just simplify your meals, just eat one thing, that's easy.
Yeah, true.
Say it again, Margaret.
Everybody's ready at the
Just
same
eat a
time.
banana.
Just eat a banana.
It's all ready at the same time.
Hey, Mary Jane.
Yeah, I mean, no cooking, nothing.
Yeah.
Where is Partners Cemetery?
Why do you want to know that, Judy?
Isn't that where the
Sunrise
Easter
service.
sunrise service is?
Yes.
I think it's, well, I don't know.
What time is the Easter sunrise service this year?
7:30 according to.
No.
the-
You
That's
pass,
what it says.
you pass right by
That's
the
sunrise.
cemetery when you go to the fountains, don't you? Do you go down here out Front Street?
I go on 82 as soon as I can.
You do?
Or 82 to the fountains?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't go
okay.
the back way because it's windy, hilly, and,
Oh.
That's true.
Yeah, it is, that's true.
Well, if you hang a left at the light,
okay,
Church.
right, that's Church Street.
okay,
And then it's right on your left.
okay.
And then it's
Oh,
like
that's
T, you have to make a left or a right there.
When you get get to the highway there, it's to your
Oh,
left.
okay. That's not part of the
okay.
cemetery.
Golf course on your right,
So it's right
Yeah,
in,
cemetery on your left.
okay, I thought it was cemetery.
It's the most perfect cemetery you'll ever encounter. It's true, it's amazing place.
lot of hours go into that cemetery.
It's unbelievable. I'm on the board of directors. I never go anymore because I'm exhausted. But in near death myself. But it is an incredible place. As far as the people, well, Bob's the superintendent. Bob Tierney is a superintendent there now. And I mean, when they have meetings, they talk about these gravestones like they're old friends. And everybody knows where they are. They're here, you know, the thorn bowls. And they know everything about it. And did you notice that there's a chip out of the base of the thorn bowl? I'm not kidding. I've heard them say it. And they all go, oh yeah, we noticed that. And, you know, was that because of the mowing and because of, I mean, the level of intimacy with that cemetery is, it's stunning.
Gotta find it anyway, just to check it out.
Well, we meet, you know, you see cars, but we're up on top is John Lyall's grave. And that's why we do it. And I go up there from time to time and apologize. And for ruining everything then, well, anyway. And I leave a key sometimes. Right?
Nice.
That's what I do. And, but that's where the sunrise service is.
I might consider.
It's a brief service, you know. I don't know, what, 20 minutes maybe?
Usually cold.
Something like that. It's going to be really cold this year. Oh, we've been there in sleet and rain and, you know,
Yes.
And when is it?
Yes.
Easter Sunday morning. 7:30. But the bus show up?
It's time.
The bus is here now?
Does everybody know today's the first day of spring?
What was that?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Today's the
Really?
first day. It begins today. Tomorrow's the first full day.
Yeah. 'cause it-
Really? So the equinox or whatever it's called happens at 11 o'clock?
11 p.m. Somebody across the street, don't ask me how.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look, that's like the angle changes in 11 p.m.
Yes.
Of the sun.
11 p.m.
North.
Oh, 11 tonight?
But
Yes.
You say that like you know this stuff?
Well, the little bit of
Well, all you have to do is Google it.
I don't remember, that's what I did.
It's been on the
I
radio.
did 20.
I don't listen to the radio.
Equinox, and guess what I got? A whole bunch of car ads. So I said, okay, 2024 first day. And then I got it.
Okay. Well, I think maybe we're it, right? Hi, Cindy. Hi, Nancy. Can you see? Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me?
I can.
You want to hear me? Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. Here's the thing. Today, so we've got 2 more classes, right? And so we got today and we got next week. Today we're going to take a look at God speaking to Job. Next week we're going to see how they construct an ending, and we'll talk about that, right? And then, if you don't mind, can we spend just a couple minutes at the end and talk about what are we going to do next, or if you want to do anything next? Something like that? Okay. Well, I want to just lift the hood a little bit on this passage, this section especially. 38. We're going to look at chapter 38. This is what we call prolegomena. I've used that word before. The word before the word. I do that every week before I read the Bible, right? Prolegomena, like the prologue. Prolegomena just means the word before the word. So I do that almost every week. I think I have probably for 35 years. A little explanation, in other words, before the reading. See? Everybody good with that? In some ways, 4 years of seminary is, in some ways, prolegomena. And we did, we worked on text, of course, but so much of it is theology and history and philosophy and, economics and, you have to have all that in your toolbox in order to lift up the hood of a passage and see what's in there, how does that work? Well, this is how this one works.
Did you say
38. You have a page number, anybody?
420.
420? Is that with the Bible here or the one you brought?
No, that's it. Here, here.
Same number.
It is not.
It is.
That's a gospel miracle. Well, can everyone hear me? Because I want to set this thing up. There are many, many places, of course, in the Bible where God is speaking, and it's God speaking, and then somebody's recording what God is speaking. Does that make sense? I mean, I would say almost always, because God is not a human being. Human beings are listening, so these are going to be these interactions in the Bible are going to be what we call stylized interactions, because we're not God, unless somebody would like to be, and we would form a complaint department then about how things are going. So let's say God is speaking to a human being, and that human being is using their own language and culture and blah, 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 and all that, and fashioning what they've heard, right? Does that make sense? We do it with each other too, right? Somebody will say something to me. Somebody will say something to me, and I'm listening, but I'm listening as Tom Feet with my history and how I feel about things and all that. So the words I'm going to use from what I heard might not be exactly what the person said. You see what I mean? Does that make sense? Hang on. Let me just finish this thought, and then we'll go from there. That's most of the Bible. That God speaks to a human being, and that human being stylizes it in such a way that the rest of us can understand it. Got that? Okay. That's not what's going on here. That's not happening here. This is not normal, what would be normal in the Bible. What we've got here, and you have to remember and remind yourself from time to time, we have a group that's talking about a situation that's not historical. So now they're going to, at 38 now, chapter 38, they're going to bring the voice of God to this story. But it's not God. This is not God. Got it? This is the group talking about God. You see? Now, some people will say, some people in Grand Rapids, for instance, will say, well, this is what God said to Job in the book of Job. No, that's not what's happening here. That's not it. It's a group of people like us who are going to fashion what God may have said to a person like Job, who also isn't a historical figure. It's a story. The whole thing is a story. The whole big book of Job is a story. There's no Job. We can't dig up his grave. There's no God in the story. It's people doing this. Okay, so it's a one-off. I don't know if it's a one-off, but let's call it a one-off. Where when God is speaking in the book of Job, it's not God. It's tricky, right? You gotta change your mind has to do a little thing to get it, right? Has everybody got that? Because I'll work with you if you don't.
That's why my question was, well, who's recording if God is talking to Job? But you explain that by saying the people are doing this.
Yeah.
So that's how it's
This is
recorded.
like all a work of fiction.
It's all fiction. It's theological fiction.
So the author is giving the words that God.
They're talking. It's a group. We think it's a group. So they're all sitting down, right? In synagogue on a Saturday, they've had coffee. Now they got a little group. And they're going, okay. Now we've got Job going through all this stuff. He meets up with his friends. Yeah, that's a good one, right? He's got 3 of them. Yeah, Menachem, you came up with that. The 3 friends, brilliant. Now what's going to happen? They say, okay, we have to interject now God into the story. How are we going to do that? You see how? Can you hear it? How it's different? It's not God talking. It's Menachem and his friends talking. So okay, we're gonna interject now God into this story. And what do you think? Anybody got some ideas of what God would say to Job at this point? I got it. Somebody says, yeah, Ezekiel, I got it. Yeah, what do you think? We are going to use God in such a way that we are going to pin Job's backside to the wall. Let's do that. Right? I mean, it's a crazy story as it is. Job has gone through a lot, we all know that, but he's crabbing about it all the time. Grief, he's going on and on. That was Bill, that was your idea. Just have him go on and on with these soliloquies about how awful everything is, of all that, blah, blah, blah. God's going to come into the picture and shut this guy up. Can you picture it? So it's not God on high talking. It's Ezekiel and Bill, and they're talking. They're trying to use their imagination, and theologically, you can just hear them talking. Theological, where would God be? Where is God in our suffering? What needs to happen? Does there need to be an adjustment to our grief? When we all know people like that, right? They so identify with their grief that they become one with their grief. We know people like that, right? When I was a kid in high school, I used to introduce myself as, I'm a child of a broken home. Have you heard that one before? That's my identity. I'm a child. I've heard lots of people say that over the years. I'm a child of a broken home. Well, no, I'm not. That's not true. Right? That's not my identity. I mean, come on. Right, that's different. Did my parents go through that and their history and my history? Yes. But that's not who I am. Right? And Job is going through the same thing in the story. He is over time, slowly, starting to wed himself with his grief. In fact, you've got the patience of Job. You've heard that one, right? In other words, Job as a person, as a character in a story, is becoming wedded with grief, and that is now who he is. God doesn't like it in the story. God won't put up with it. Because that's not who you are. Yes, you've gone through a horrible situation. You've gone through terrible loss, but that is not who you are.
I think people, I have a lot of people, so I think people become that because they don't know, because they've lived that for their whole life.
Yep.
They don't know anything else.
Yep.
So when you say it's not who they are, I agree with that, but it is who they have become.
It's who they think they are.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. That's who they think they are.
Yes.
And they present that way, right?
Because they don't have any other understanding.
They don't have any other option.
They're so hurt.
Right,
They're so hurt.
right. Well, God's gonna put a flame to that, This is not who you are. It's interesting how at 38, I guess, how the group puts a voice onto God. Let's do it like that, Let's do it this way. You are not your illness. You are not your grief. That doesn't deny that you aren't ill or that you haven't grieved. That's different. Yes, you've gone through that. But that's not who you are. And in the voice here in 38 following, because it goes on for a little while, the voice in it is not going to put up with that. We're not putting up with that. Because it's an offense to God. Because our identity is as a child of God, a creature made in the image of God. That's who you are. And if you're going to trade that in for this, God has something to say about it. Right? It's an offense to God. And that's why we'll find out that God is pretty fired up about this. It's a sin to pair yourself with your illness and your grief. That is a sin. Because that's not who you are. You are a child of God. Period. How's that hit you?
Pretty good.
Are the bars open? I got all this stuff. 20, forgive me. All right, that is what's called prolegomena. That's the word before the word. So now when you read it, you have sort of a little angle of how it works, right? Otherwise you get sort of messed up. Is everybody still thinking about their lives? Stop thinking about your life, please. You can do that when you go home. Do I have that right? 30. I was right the first time. 38. 38. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we're straight. Would someone just read the first 3 verses and we'll get ourselves set up here?
I'll read it.
Okay.
Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind. Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up your loins like a man. I will question you, and you shall declare to me.
Okay, it's a courtroom scene now, right?
Oh, that's the 3. Okay.
Right, that's 3. What's God saying now?
Get a life.
Get a life. You could put it maybe differently than that when you leave the sanctuary. How would you put that in your own words?
How about buck up?
Yeah, buck up. You better put your helmet on, buddy, because we're gonna go at it here.
We're going for a ride.
You're gonna go for a ride. Yeah, get your helmet on. A theologian said that once. It'll come to me who it is. Along with bulletins being passed out before worship, you should also give everyone a helmet. Shoot, who is that? I know who it is. I can picture her, but I can't. It's a woman. Yeah.
But it seems that who is that darkens counsel? Those are his people. Those are the people around him. It's not Job.
No, it's Job. Oh, it's Job. Yeah. Job is darkening counsel.
Yeah.
Because Job has been saying forever how hurt he is, how bad it is, and all that's true. But what I was saying before is he's now glued himself to, as far as his identity with his situation, and God is saying that's darkness. You're not, you got it wrong. You got it wrong. I mean, you're.
Job is just feeling very sorry for himself.
That's right. And he should be sorry. And right, he's gone through a lot. He should be sorry. And I don't mean to discount his suffering either. I don't. And they don't either. But it's gone too far. It's gone too far. Like once in a while I'll say, it's okay to be afraid. It's not okay to be too afraid. I think I may have said that on Sunday, so maybe the week before. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay. It's normal. It's human. It's not okay to be too afraid.
What's your last statement? It's not okay to what?
It's not okay to be too afraid. Right? Isn't that true? It's true, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. Because again, you're identifying, you're becoming, you're too close to the fear, you're becoming it. That's not okay. It's not okay. Okay, so here we go. Put your helmet on, Job. Somebody want to read 4 through 7? Just that little section. 4 through 7? Let it rip.
Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? On what were its bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together, and all the heavenly beings shouted for joy.
So, okay, we're part of the group. Let's say we're part of that writers group, right? That's putting this all together. What kind of theological discussion was going on before they wrote this? What do you think they're talking about?
Well, creation.
Creation. We're going to start this argument, right, with creation. It's kind of genius, isn't it? They came up with that after a few beers. That's what I picture, they're talking. It's a group. They're friends, they know each other. So they're going to start with creation. And how does that play out? What sorts of things is God saying to Job? How's it begin? I'm just asking you to kind of put it in your own words.
How did it all happen?
How did it all happen? Do you know? Yeah, do you know? Margaret, what do you want to say?
Well, I was just thinking that he's saying he's the one who knows all.
That's
I mean,
right.
He knows all these things.
Right.
Job doesn't.
And Job, here's the thing. Job wants to equate what he knows as the final say, right? All that matters. Right? If you read these soliloquies of Job, all that matters is my grief. That's all that matters. And the voice of God comes in. Oh, really? That's all that matters?
He's going back before that, how he started.
Say it again.
He's going back to not how he feels now, but how he originally was as a person.
I mean, Job.
Job.
He said, where were you then? What were you like then?
Well, and further, at the beginning of creation, were you there?
Yeah.
What do you know about, were you there? Right? And again, this is kind of fun to do. This group is so interesting, these writers, this group of writers is so interesting. Somebody said, Menachem raised his hand and said, I think I got it. Because when you're in grief, all that matters is your grief. And isn't that true? It's such a smart book. All that matters is your grief, and you get smaller and smaller and smaller. And God is saying, there's a big universe out there that I made. Have you noticed? Have you noticed it? You're not the only one here. Your grief, though important, is not everything. It's not everything.
Well, when they talk about the stages of grief, this was just in the crossroad. What's the first stage of grief?
Denial.
Oh, well, actually, it turned out to be anger.
Anger.
I don't know if the crossroad people were correct.
I don't think they are. As far as Kubler-Ross is concerned, I think it's denial.
Oh.
I think it's denial. But anger definitely is the next one, I think.
Job seems to be stuck there.
Yeah, you're stuck. And you become so paralyzed and self-centered. And the voice of God is saying, it's important what you're going through, but you're not the center. You see what I mean? You're not the center of the universe. You're not. The whole thing doesn't revolve around you.
It's like he's saying, get over it.
Or put it in perspective. Put it in a larger perspective. It'll help you. But when we're going through really tough times, we're the center of it, right? We can't even. We see this all the time. I've experienced that, right? You think when you go through a huge loss, you get smaller, and you can't even look up. and the voice of Menachem saying, okay, let's put on God's lips that there's a lot bigger things going on than as important as you are. There's a lot bigger things going on than you. Cindy?
It's hard for someone who has been abused in some way.
There you go, right?
All their life, even though they could be a Christian, it's hard for them to receive from
Right.
somebody else that God loves them where was God when they were being abused?
Yeah.
All their life. It could be verbally, physically,
Of-
whatever.
of
It's
course.
major abuse. And so now they're so depleted that even though they're aware that God's there, where was He? Why did He stop those
Right.
people?
Right, yeah.
And to comfort someone like that, very, very, you can't, I've heard so many pastors say, get over it, so insulting. How do
Right,
you
it
get
is.
over something? It's not like you stubbed your foot and you're so mad about that, so just get over it. Your whole life was based on unsafe and abuse.
Yeah, you've been ripped to pieces.
They have,
Right.
there's no substance almost of that
Yeah,
left.
yeah.
You know?
Great comment. Yeah, great comment. Yeah.
And they can't even receive comfort because they can't even, they're so hurt.
Right. Yeah. Great comment. So the writers are writing to people, right? They're writing to us now, right? And there's this dialogue back and forth between what's written, that group way back, and us. And they're saying, in effect, what do you think about that? And Cindy just did. Like, that's not good enough to give us even if it's right, it doesn't work. Right? We'll see that next week too. We'll see it next week. The same thing. What could possibly get this person who's been destroyed to see a bigger picture?
Lawsuits. Like for all the abused people, they convinced the legislature that they should be able to sue even on claims that were 30 and 40 years old.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there you go.
And you know, I mean, think of the woman that sued Trump, you know, how can I not remember her name? She's recovered.
E. Jean Carroll.
Jean Carroll. It helped her to be, because she had a revival suit. She had her libel suit, or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Slander.
Interesting, yeah.
Right, slander. But then she was able to sue for the actual act. And I think that was probably redemptive for her to get awarded 85 million buckos.
Well, there might be some properties in Manhattan that are for sale in the coming days. She might want to buy one.
So maybe just not the money so much as being able to face up to it and go public with it and say,
Right.
you know, that's really the value, I think, that people would.
Like vindication, does that word make a difference?
To be able to express it and not to have to
Yeah.
hide it, and to be able to sort of just
Yeah.
let it out, you know.
Well, what will satisfy a person? I think that's, you know, you were bringing that up too, Cindy, when you were talking. Is that any kind of satisfaction? Okay, it may be right, but I'm so torn up that I can't get there. I can't get to that spot. So I think this is another thing that the writers are saying, what will satisfy this? Can even God satisfy it? So God's going to bring the changes through here, right? I mean, for a long time, we're going to hear stuff like what we just heard. And, you know, putting Job in his place, right? And putting his suffering in context, of a wider context of the creation, doesn't work. Even if it's right, even if God is right, does it make any difference? It's a good question. They just want us to talk about it. Is that true?
It might help, you know.
Pardon?
It might help.
I don't know.
We raise the blackboard totally.
I talked to a family last night, 7 o'clock, and their 34-year-old daughter just overdosed and died. That was last night. I've had 2 of those in a month. And both 34. 34-year-old daughters, 2 of them.
If you get so involved with yourself, it's hard to hear anything else.
Right.
Even if someone is trying to help you.
Even if it's God,
Yeah.
even if God comes to you and rings the changes here, can we have satisfaction? I mean, we want to, I think, right? And friends want to say, you know, God loves you and God has a future for you. We'll see more of that next week, how the story ends. But the writers want to say, what do you think about that? God, what if God comes right into your room, pins you to the wall, and says, where were you? Right? Does that work? What works? What helps? I mean, when I read this, I think it's magnificent, and it's true, but it doesn't work. Does it? Does this kind of approach work? Oh, gee, well, I'm so glad you have other children. This one's dead, but you've got other children, so cheer up. You know, they come into my office, what are you going to do? What are you going to say? What are you going to say? And on Saturday morning, I better figure out something. Cheer up. God has created the whole universe, and you're not the center of it. Should I say that to them on Saturday?
No, that's very comforting.
Right?
You can't say that.
Cheer up.
You can't say that.
Right? I mean, these writers are really trying to wrestle with stuff. You know, what will satisfy this situation where it's just burned earth? That's all he's got. Doesn't he have his health? He does have his wife. Sounds like that's the only person left. And she's not a big help. You know, dump your faith. He doesn't want to do that either. Right? Get rid of your faith, just move on. He doesn't want to do that. To his credit, I think. He's going to hang on to his faith, even though, you know, here we are. Everything's stripped out from him. Oof.
I would think you need some sort of epiphany. Something renewed.
Right? Spoiler alert, he doesn't get one. Yeah, it doesn't, well, we'll talk about that next week, but,
Do we have an answer?
huh?
Do we have an answer?
No.
It's always.
And they're gonna, and we are gonna rake, right? Because that's what humans do. We do this. We're gonna rake for some kind of meaning. Rake for it. My God, why have you forsaken me? We're gonna rake for something in there. They won't let us. And then the question is, now what? Now what? Now what? This is a little bit of next week. Now what? We're told over and over and over and over again, keep your nose clean, God will reward you. Over and over throughout the Bible. And this little group that's writing is saying, oh yeah, what about this? Right? I think that's the purpose of the book. Oh yeah, what about this? Because we all know people like that. We have people in our church like that. Oh yeah, what about that? And I think, I like the Bible for a lot of reasons, but it's a gutsy book. Who would put a story like that in a holy book like this? Who would do it? I just think it's terrific. You know, it's courageous writing. It's anti-religious almost writing. Oh yeah, what about this? And it's the stuff we think about all the time and don't dare say aloud. They will. What about this? So I love the Bible for a lot of reasons, but I just think it's the classiest thing on earth. So you want to hear a little bit more about how God would handle this? God obviously is not a clinical psychologist. Yeah, I want to finish up through 15? Let's see what happens. 8 through 15? Anyone?
Or who shut in the sea with doors when it burst out from the womb? When I made the clouds its garment and thick darkness its swaddling band, and prescribed bounds for it, and set bars and doors, and said, thus far shall you come and no farther, and here shall your proud waves be stopped? Have you commanded the morning since your days began, and caused the dawn to know its place, so that it might take hold of the skirts of the earth, and the wicked be shaken out of it? It is changed like clay under the seal, and it is dyed like a garment. Light is within from the wicked, and their uplifted arm is broken.
That'll be $300. If God is a therapist, you get 50 minutes and $300 to hear this.
How about this verse about the ostrich? This is something that he's talking about that God knows that I guess most people don't know. Actually, I certainly do. The ostrich's wings flap wildly, though its pinions lack plumage, for it leaves its eggs to the earth and lets them to be warmed on the ground, forgetting that a foot may crush them and a wild animal may trample them. It just jumped out at me like, what? He's talking about ostriches? I didn't know they had ostriches in Israel.
They heard about him, right? They heard about him.
Maybe they just...
Do you know how it all works? Yeah, how does it, you don't even know how an ostrich lays its eggs or why it's like that. You don't know anything.
That's right.
Nothing.
God is a show-off.
Yeah, right. And the writers are kind of showing off. Look, we are gonna tighten the screw onto your thumb until you just finally just say, okay, I don't know any of it. I don't know any of it. I don't know any of it. I don't know the wisdom behind this. People talk about that too. Where there's a greater wisdom. That's why your 5-year-old son drowned in your pool. There's a greater wisdom. God still loves you, while you're just, you just want to scream. You just don't know yet, This book will not allow you to do that. It won't allow you to do it. The writers are going to say, no matter what you got, faith, whatever you've got, anything, it will not work. Not going to make you feel better. You're not going to be able to stand up in front of the congregation and say, I've got 3 keys to moving away from grief. Well, when I hear that, I think, then you didn't love very much. Because you're going to have that grief for the rest of your life. Because you've loved. How can you, if you've loved someone, what are you going to feel great someday? Of course not. Right? Then you haven't loved much. That doesn't mean that something can't happen through the grief. Some things can happen, but it's never going to be great. Then if it is, you've defiled your relationship. Right? It makes sense? How much fun are we having right now? It's a ball. So glad that you came.
Don't you think, though, that with time, the grief must lessen somewhat? I mean, the intensity of
The intensity, yeah.
does change. I mean, you are able to live a life that's not all darkness and
Right.
despair.
Here comes the family. There's
Yeah.
4 of them. They're in my office at 7 o'clock last night.
But
Yeah. So what do you say?
in the beginning, it's really nothing.
Yeah, they're just
Gonna help.
Yeah, well, they're just in shock. They're just in shock. And so, you know, you can talk about like a sweet pain. You can talk a little bit, you can talk a little bit about gratitude. You can get there. You can get there. For the years you had. You can talk a little bit about how that person's life has impacted you, both their life and their death. I didn't do it last night. Didn't talk about it last night. But, you know, that's on my mind. Grief can, in certain circumstances, create a deepening in our lives that maybe we wouldn't have had before. It doesn't destroy you. It's good to be a deep person. Otherwise, it's really hard to be empathetic with other people who also suffer. Right? This is tough stuff, right? This is tough. This is well-earned. And I mean, Diane DeGros is famous for this little saying that, I mean, there's another question. What if you don't do it? What if you don't go there? What if you do this to your grief, right? Or you drink it away, or whatever you got to do to get this thing off of you. This is Diane DeGros now. We bury these things alive, she'll say. And they come out. And then they're going to come out. When you least expect it, you'll get blindsided. It's by burying it alive, I believe she's meaning it goes unconscious, right? So you're going to be haunted in your dreams. You're going to be blindsided at times where you didn't. That's happened to me in the pulpit. You are going to be triggered. What they call being triggered. You know the word how it's being used. You're going to be triggered at times where it comes out of nowhere, and you'll have. And that. All I'm saying is that's because you've buried these things alive. Now you have no control over them whatsoever. They're going to live their own lives in you. And okay, so that's another choice if you're going to just, and we know people, and I've had periods in my life too like that, where it's just too much. It's too much. So you're just going to keep that there. As crazy as it is, it's not going to work. But you do it anyway because you don't know what else to do. You're just going to keep it down there, right? Somehow.
So much of grief like that, I think, is the way you feel like, why didn't I do something? Why didn't I see this?
Some of
Why
it is
didn't
guilt.
I?
Guilt, regret. Oh God.
Coping with
Right,
that,
right.
I think, is just,
Why couldn't I have stopped it?
yes.
Right? Or why
yes.
did I stop it? Right? It's omission and commission, right? Why didn't I stop it? Why did I stop it? Why? Right? You just tease all this stuff out. You torture yourself with this stuff. Torture. So I think, an easy answer, and maybe it's true. I think it is. It's been true for me, more or less. Is who do you surround yourself with? Can you surround yourself with people who get it and are supportive, let you talk, let you, because this stuff is crazy, right? This will wake you up in the middle of the night, right? And you can't sleep. You can't, I think most people have gone through stuff like that, where it's right. Again, it's going to go. Oh yeah, right. Out you go, right? You're not sleeping tonight. And then you're all by yourself, whirling around. It's tricky. And if you're lucky enough to have friends or a spouse, maybe, dog, I have a nice plant at home. It's sprouting leaves. Talk to your plant, talk to everybody. you know, and a prayer, I think, is appropriate too. I mean,
A journal is good.
a journal's good, thank you. Yeah, a journal's good too. There's all sorts of different ways you can kind of embrace it, or maybe not embrace it, but receive it and process it, you know?
Hate it.
Sorry?
Paint.
Paint it, good one, yeah, terrific. Yeah, we talk about, in Western Michigan, we have this little saying, you know, the old black dog has come onto my porch. You know that one? The black dog? It's really common in Michigan, where I come from. The old black dog showed up on my porch last night. It's grief. It's grief, right? The black dog is grief. It's a big black dog. And he's whining, he's scratching on your door. It's grief. He wants to come in. And you better let that dog in, or he's going to howl, he's going to scratch, he's going to make a mess of your porch. You got to let that dog in and do something. You don't have to befriend the dog, but you have to get him in your house. Right? It's a nice image, isn't it? Yeah.
But I get that this came in here. I think the word what I heard is like acceptance. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
12 steps say one or two things about that, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's a 12 step. Yeah. Thanks for coming in, Ron. Yeah.
What are the other stages of grief after? I think you're at a denial, anger, and then.
The Tom Feet Retirement Foundation. Come around to it. It's implied. It's implied. Bargaining. Bargaining.
Acceptance is the last.
It's the last one. But that's, well, you know, people have talked about Kubler-Ross, is where it comes from. And that's old, you know, it's an old, I think useful as well. But these steps, you know, switch back and forth, you know. You think you're going to solve one and just charge into the other one. It doesn't work that way. It goes back, goes forward, goes...
What is the bargaining part?
Bargaining you can bargain with God. What if I do this? Can this be a different outcome? It's not just losing a person. Thinking over, you know, like a courtroom scene. You know.
I understand. What I think again is, sorry to say, like you sift out stuff, you know, like a calendar, sift stuff out, you know.
Sift it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good image too. Hey, you're hot today, Nora. Yeah. Well, you have to come to terms with some of these things and develop your own ways of dealing. You know, I'm assuming that all of us have had losses. They tell ministers on any given Sunday, 2/3 of your congregation will have lost something important in the past year. 2/3 on any given Sunday. You know, a power, lost a job, lost a loved one, a divorce, or whatever. You know, there's lots that you can put in that basket. But yeah, and I never forgot that. 2/3 of the congregation.
Happy job.
When are the bars open? This is why ministers behave poorly. Yeah, it's. I wish somebody had mentioned that in seminary. This is going to hurt. You know, just that would have been helpful. But professors in seminary are in seminary professing because many of them have been out there and they don't want to do that. You know, be on the frontline person. You know, but it's all right. It's an honor too, obviously. You feel that way. So that's that. Okay, and you can keep reading today for yourself as a little devotional, maybe. I recommend that. But I think maybe this is a good little start to that section. Next section will be: is there anything that can be done? Can anything be replaced? Can people be replaced? Can crops be replaced? Can houses be replaced? You know, how does that work? That's next week, and that'll end the Bible study during Holy Week. Okay. Now the other little housekeeping thing is: do you want to do any more of this ever with me? I mean, it's okay if you don't, because it is. prime fishing season coming up. Gee, what could I do on a Tuesday?
Don't you find sitting on a lake fishing is conducive to Bible study?
Thank you, Judy, for that image. Actually, some of the worst times of my life have been in the middle of a trout stream.
And some of the best times too.
Some of the
right?
best times too. Yeah, where it's rhythmic, it's thinking about stuff. Yeah, I've had.
And it slipped and the actor was drowning. Remember that?
Yeah, well, I've slept. I'm almost drowned a couple times. But that's, well, those are some of the good times, Robbie. Yeah, when it's rhythmic, you think. And I've got old friends that taught me how to fly fish, and they'll yell out. I've heard them yell out, "You really can't fish when you're weeping on a trout stream." Sound travels on water, so they're way down there. They could see them having a tough time. Why don't you get your stuff together before you start fly fishing? I mean, they don't have a lot of compassion, but
It's a trigger for you.
it's a trigger, yeah, for sure. I'm mindful of it now. You walk into a stream, you better watch it a little bit. So here's the thing. If you want to do more, I'm thinking of what's his name with the whale? Jonah. And that's kind of another non-historical theological narrative. That's another one. If you want to try something like that, because it's a little
You're saying it's fiction, it's
theological fiction.
fiction.
Yeah.
It has a happy
A
ending.
story that was made up to,
That's another one. That's yay, Jonah at the end. Yeah, isn't it nice though? I mean, how do you feel about closed endings? And it was a beautiful moment, and the beast marries the princess, and everybody, Mrs. Potts becomes herself again. Isn't it terrific? That's closure, and there are moments in the Bible where there's some closure, but I'm trying to think, it's rarely without limping at the end. Let's put it that way, including Jesus, who's got a few injuries that he could show. Right? I mean, even Jesus after the resurrection is not looking great. Okay? So Jonah's acceptable? Or if you have a better idea, I'm game for that too. I'm okay.
I keep telling him every time.
We've taken that out of the scriptures. We've taken that book out of the
I
scriptures.
know, you have.
I can sum up the book of Revelation by just saying duck,
Don't read it.
duck. Well, some of it makes sense, but a lot of it I think is somebody's high writing that.
That's another one. Like Samson and Delilah, his story. He was the strongest man, first person on the face of the earth. And what happened to him, he been through hell, where all the torture and all that. And then the good Lord blessed him again and said, okay, this is what's going to happen, His outcome wasn't life, his outcome was death.
Mm-hmm.
He accepted and said, okay, lead me by the pillars. And his story was, okay, I'm going to go.
Okay, this is what we're going to do, Rafi. You're going to teach that. I'll come to that. I'll come to that one.
And
Look,
the rest of this will be quiet.
Look, Mary Jane, you've been moaning about this matter of the Book of Revelation for some
So you're next.
for some years now.
I'm not teaching.
Do you want to? I'm just thinking Easter's early this year, so we have some space if you want to do it sometime after Easter.
You're sitting on it.
Is that something you're interested in, or would you rather do that during the fall? If I'm here, I might not be here in the fall.
I'm just pulling you.
What's your pleasure? Are you game? What I'm asking is the class and you at home. Are you game to do a little course, 6 weeks, sometime after Easter? You are? Okay, that's the important thing. Okay, so I will,
I like the idea of Jonah.
huh?
I like the idea of Jonah.
Okay, yeah, good. Well, it's, I mean, it's really, you're good, so you make it good. All right, and then if I'm still, if I'm no longer, it's not a dead duck, what is it? What is it? Lame duck, lame duck. If I'm still here, let's say, in the fall, I promise, Mary Jane, I promise, and we've got witnesses, and at home, we will take a look at the book of Revelation. Okay? You're not going to like it. Okay? And then it's over, right? It's over between us.
Oh, it's over.
Okay, thanks a lot, you guys. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, that sounds great. Love it.
Well, there's something to be said for Bible study of Job ending in all this laughter.
Right? Yeah. It's a strange group.
We're all having a good
It's kind of a strange group.
Thank you, Tom. You guys too. Thank you. So,
You're good at this.
I picked up all my shoes.
Good job. How's it look?
Yeah, it looks
You
a lot
scared a
better.
little bit?
Yeah, but Bennett is gonna build some shoe things.
Those
So I have a
shells?
lot of
Shoe shells?
Yeah, I want shoe shells.
Oh, that's nice. I've had those before. That's
I
nice.
had some in my last apartment, they were so handy.
They are. You can see
And
them.
it's just a board, it couldn't be that expensive to construct. Bennett is, they'll be good. So now we have to design shoe shells.
I like
But
it.
having it clean, I was like, oh my God, Tom came in and he saw all those shoes.
I didn't see anything.
I know, but then I got sort of embarrassed, but then I said, okay.
No, your place
You're
is,
embarrassed, pick it up.
well, your place is
And I'm
fantastic.
having fun, I'm making real progress.
Have you been, well, you were at Alice's too. She's
Yeah.
got that tight little house.
Oh, I love her house.
Right?
It's
I do
so,
too.
has so many great features.
I think so too.
I came home thinking.
Yours is bigger, but it feels tight, you know, it's got good bones.
Yeah, and every part of it has been done so nicely.
I think so too,
I
tasteful.
didn't hate my house, I mean, it did, I just took that white stuff.
You did.
Oh,